Today I'm gonna do something a little adventurous. I've never tried this recipe before, but in my head, I think it'll work, so all they come in with me on this journey. I have here some five fingers, some very ripe or overripe five fingers, and I was wondering what to do with them. I mean, the usual thing would be do a smoothie or make like a five-finger jam or reduction or something like that. But I say, you know what, let me do something else different. Let me go for a savory application. So I'm gonna do a five fingers chicken, or as the title says, a finger licking chicken. And the idea is to do a kind of Asian infused flavor profile with the five fingers and the chicken. I'm using Asian flavors like star anise, ginger and garlic up in there. For the herbs, I'm gonna use some chive or chives or scallion, depending on where you're looking at this from. And I'm using some arrowroot, fresh arrowroot. Now people use arrowroot flour to thicken sauces and gravies and that kind of thing, but I got this fresh arrowroot from La Vega, so I'm gonna experiment with it. I never cooked with it before, but you know, reading up on it, it says a good thickener and it's used in a lot of Asian cooking. So as we go in for Asian inspired flavors here, I think it'll be good in this. So let me get this started. First thing we want to do is prep the aromatics. And the best thing to use to peel ginger is a spoon. That way you get to peel it without wasting a lot of the ginger. And you don't actually need a mortar and pestle to mince ginger. Just use the broadside of your knife and smash it, like if you're smashing garlic, and then just give it a chop. And I'm only going to use about half this arrowroot, looking for about 2 tablespoons of minced arrowroot. And I'm just chopping this Scotch bonnet pepper in half. I'm going to be adding it to the dish for some heat, but I'm going to be taking it out at the end of the cooking process. Just cutting off the ends of the side here, chopping up the stems, and we're going for a bigger cut on the leaves, like a 2 inches. And this is really just for presentation purposes, just for aesthetics. And I'm just going to cut the five fingers into smaller pieces. I mean, I'm putting them in the blender, but just to help the blender along, just cutting them into smaller pieces. Because what we want to do is get the juice from them. And the juice will be the liquid we'll be using to deglaze the pot when we start cooking the chicken. And obviously, you know, this is why five fingers has the name Star Fruit. It's also known as Carambola. So now I add in the five fingers to the blender. And I add in about a 1/4 cup of water just to help it along. Okay, so now we want to strain this because we're not using the pulp, we just want the juice. Alright, nice. So we have our five fingers juice here. Let's give it a taste. Nice, sweet, but a little acidic. This will make a real nice braising liquid for the chicken. So the first thing we want to do is get some color on the chicken. So I add in a little bit of olive oil to a cast iron skillet. And I'm using a cast iron skillet because I want to put this into the oven straight from the fire. So it's easier to use a skillet for this, but if you don't, then do it in a regular pot, and then when you're ready to go into the oven, you just transfer it into a baking dish. So I want to get a little color on the meat, so I'll go in here with the chicken pieces. I'm just going to sear it. Seasoning with a little salt and some black pepper. Alright, so I had this going for about a minute. I'm just going to flip it over. So we have some nice color on the chicken there. I'm just going to let this cook for about another minute. And then we're going to remove it from the pan and continue with the cooking process. And remember, we're not trying to cook this right through at this point. At this point, what we're just doing is getting our color on the chicken, but it'll finish cooking in the oven. Alright, so I had this going for about a minute on the other side as well. So I think we have some good color going here, so I'm going to remove it from the pan. And now we're going to saute our aromatics, onion, ginger, the arrowroot. And if you don't have arrowroot, you could use arrowroot powder, and if you don't have arrowroot powder, you could also use cornstarch if you want to thicken the sauce. Remember, we're using the arrowroot to really thicken the sauce. The arrowroot itself doesn't have much flavor to it. Adding the stems of the chives too, the side. I want to add the garlic now. Adding the garlic last because I don't want the garlic to burn at all. And as soon as that garlic gets fragrant, and that'll only take a couple of seconds, I want to add a little bit of the chive, keeping some for later. Of course, you want some fresh chive to finish the dish. Adding 2 star anise in there. And of course, because we're going for Asian flavors, I have to add a little bit of MSG. Make stuff good. So the MSG will do its magic up in there and add that umami flavor. Alright, so now we want to add the 5 fingers juice. Nice. Add in 2 bay leaves. Add in the Scotch bonnet pepper. Now I'll just release some heat into the dish. And now we're going to add the pieces of chicken back to the pot. Just going to toss it around a little bit. Add some of the sauce on top. Make sure everybody gets a nice little 5 fingers juice bath. So I just want to add some pieces of fresh 5 fingers. And they're going to just kind of cook down and add even more flavor to the dish. Of course, it will make for a nice presentation as well. And yeah, we're ready for the oven. So I'm going to put this in the oven, preheated at 400 degrees for 25 minutes. So we out of the oven. I take all my photos, I take all my B-roll footage and everything. So now it's just time to dig in. And I'm going to tell you, this kitchen smelling real good. Can't wait to taste this shit. I cannot wait. Just gonna, rest this here. Just gonna drizzle it all over. Okay, finally the moment I've been waiting for, and that's to taste this thing. I take all my photos, I take all my video, so now we're ready to go. I'm gonna tell you, smelling real good. I have high hopes here. Smell this cut in here. Let's get some of this sauce here. It's good sauce. Wow. Wow. Let's get a next taste. Just to make sure now. I'm gonna make sure it tastes good. Okay, one last piece. This is me giving myself a round of applause. Yeah, let me tell you, going that Asian route, that was the way to go. The acidity and the sweetness from the carambola or the 5 fingers doing the most inside there. You see the ginger, the chive, garlic and that kind of thing. And of course, a little Scotch bonnet pepper to bring that heat. Yeah. This, real ratings. And of course, the star anise in there and the MSG give it that umami flavor. It just, You had to try this. It had nothing else I could say. And the whole point about using this five fingers is just coming up with different ways of utilizing our local fruits and incorporating them into dishes in imaginative ways. So yeah, trust me, this recipe is definitely one to try. This five finger licking chicken or carambola chicken, yeah, full ratings, if I do say so myself. If you like this recipe, please give the video a thumbs up and a share. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please take a moment to do so. Of course, the full recipe will be posted in a link in the video description. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Mm-hmm.